Okay, so today we are going to talk about AirAsia. Okay, so basically the owner for AirAsia is Tony Fernandez, and it was established in the year 1993, and it began to operate on 18th of November 1996. Okay, so they were founded by the conglomerate DRB Highcom, owned by the government. And after that, in December 2001, Mr. Tony Fernandez bought the airlines for RM1 and left him with a huge amount of debt, which is 40 million ringgit. Okay, and at that time, the only competitors that they have is MAS, which stands for Malaysian Airlines. And with that, Tony Fernandez re-established AirAsia in order to compete with MAS. And in the year 2002, they started to produce profits in only 1 year time. Okay, so for the first question, what type of market structure involved for the selected firms? So the answer is oligopoly, as AirAsia is a price maker where they can maximize their profit by setting the price and output levels. Okay, and this occurs when there are a few dominated firms in the same market competing with each other. Okay, so for the second question, what kind of product does the firm produce? So they produce a low cost airlines, where this will attract consumers by lowering the price of the ticket, as Tony Fernandez realized that not everyone can fly, as the ticket for an airplane is very expensive. So he lowered the price, and with this it can boost their profit. And for the third question is there any competitors faced by the selected firms? Yeah, these are some of the airline companies, which is MAS, which is Malaysian Airlines, Malindo Air, Firefly, and also Surf Air.
Okay, so the question is, does the selected firm control over the price of their products? Basically, yes. In economics, a price maker is an monopolistic company that can dictate the prices of its goods because there are no substitutes for it. In trading, a price maker is a stockholder who controls a large number of shares and is able to affect the stock price. So since it's an oligopoly firm, so they are price makers, and because of that, they can control and dictate prices of their products and services. AirAsia is one of the businesses that have successfully adopted the low-cost strategy to attract consumers through operational effectiveness and efficiency. When Fernandez took over the company, he realized that not everyone can afford to fly because the tickets will be very low cost. So he came up with the idea of lowering the price to attract consumer, which is low cost leadership. So the question is, what is the shape of the demand curve for the selected firm? As we can see here, that this is a traditional oligopoly model, and the model is trying to explain how companies in an oligopoly market behave and react to others' behavior. So, and as we can see here, that this is the quantity and the price, and MC1 and MC2, and the demand D and MR.
Alright, so my question is, what would be the conditions to enter the market or industry? So in an oligopoly market, there are only a few large firms. So this is because each large firm has their own market share, and therefore they are able to control the entire industry. So in this case, since we're talking about AirAsia, they are able to control the airline industry, and this is because AirAsia offers low-cost fares, and therefore they are able to predominate the low-cost fares airlines. So the next condition would be homogeneous or differentiated products. So homogeneous means similar products, whereas differentiated products means providing products that are different from one another. So the thing here is, for AirAsia, they do offer different products in terms of, for example, holiday packages. They are the only airline company that produce holiday packages for its customers to travel all around Asia, and this is because they have an affiliation with the Tune Hotels chain. Next is mutual interdependence and control over price. So mutual interdependence is basically a condition whereby an oligopoly firm, they must consider their rivals' decisions in terms of output, sales, price, advertising, and etc. I'll be talking more on mutual interdependence in my next question. And the last condition is barriers to entry. So for an oligopoly firm, the barriers to entry are not as difficult as monopoly. However, it is still pretty difficult due to factors such as economies of scale, ownership of patent, high capital requirement, and etc. Okay, so the next question is, does the selected firm face mutual interdependence on pricing decision? The answer is yes. Oligopolistic firms do face mutual interdependence. So when I say mutual interdependence, what I mean is basically every firm is aware that it will influence other firms in the market and vice versa. So there's two types of mutual interdependence that we can see. The first one is the King's demand curve, and the second one is the cartel theory. So the King's demand curve is basically if one firm decreases its price, other firms will follow suit. However, if one firm increases its price, other firms will not follow suit. So in this case, there was actually a good example here is in June 2017, AirAsia actually lowered its flight tickets and offered many promotions. And at the same time, we had Malindo Air following this decrease of prices with fares as low as 10 to 20 ringgit. So this is one of a good example of King demand curve, because when AirAsia reduces its flight tickets, Malindo Air did the same thing. Next is the cartel theory. So basically, oligopoly firms, they cooperate and act as a group in determining price and output. That is what is meant by a cartel. So for cartel theory, we have AirAsia, AirAsia X, and Malaysia Airlines that formed a cartel known as the CCF, Comprehensive Collaboration Framework. So it's basically an agreement made among these three companies, which is mainly to increase their revenue and to decrease their costs in areas such as aircraft purchasing, engineering, catering services, training, and etc. So speaking of catering services, as I mentioned earlier, one example would be, Malaysia Airlines is actually known for its catering services, whereby the food that they produce is of high standards and it's likable by consumers. So what AirAsia can do is to actually follow Malaysia Airlines menu, for example. So the thing that is meant by cartel is when both of them collaborate and AirAsia will be able to extend its food section, resulting in a revenue increase. So it will mutually benefit AirAsia and Malaysia Airlines as well.
So the question now is it possible for the selected firm to earn short-run profit? My answer is yes, it can be earning profit, zero economic profit, or incur loss. It's because in the oligopoly market, one firm decision may affect the profit of the rival. So each firm in the market will shape its policy with an eye to the policy of competing firm. So since they are mutually interdependent, so they will form a cartel to maximum their profit. Does it mean the firm actually earning profit, or whether zero economic profit or loss, is it dependent on the agreement they're holding? For example, for the cartel, if the firm A and firm B holding the agreement, they earn 6 million and 6 million, which this one is the earning profit for this part. If one of them did not hold and one of them hold the agreement, the firm A will earn the 12 million and the firm B will lose. So actually depend on the cartel for the agreement. So if firm B and firm A also do not hold the agreement, both of them will earn 2 million, which is not enough to cover their cost. So I consider this a loss for them. So the next question is it possible for a selected firm to earn long-run profit? My answer is yes, they definitely earn a profit because they have a high barrier to entry. The high barrier of entry for a new firm, for example, skill of economics, patent and copyright, and technology, and also name recognition. So is it possible for the selected firm to practice price discrimination? My answer is yes. Price discrimination, the definition for it is charging the different price for the same good or services that can maximize the firm profit by charging each of the buyer the maximum they are willing to pay. So these are my example. First of time of buying a ticket. So when you buy a ticket several months in advance, so definitely your ticket will be cheaper. And the next is unsocial hour, cheaper. If you take a weekend break, and most people will prefer to come back on the late Sunday, so the late Sunday of the flight will be higher than on the morning flight. So the next is time traveling, peak season. If you're traveling during the peak season like Chinese New Year, Deepavali or Hari Raya, definitely will be higher. The flight ticket will be higher, and also the summer holidays. During the summer holidays, the flight ticket also will be higher.
Okay, so the question is, what are the possible inputs used by selected firm in the production? Okay, so the inputs that I've divided here is basically labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So in terms of labor is basically hiring workers for the particular company, that means for AirAsia. So in an airline, there's like the captain, there's the pilot, there's the stewards, and then there's the managing side such as the customer service and so on. So that falls under labor. And then moving on to capital. Okay, capital is in terms of money, that means where the money is going. So the money mainly here goes to the aeroplane, of course. So they recently came up with a new airplane and it's known as A330neo. This airplane is known to be very fuel efficient, as it burns less than 25% of the fuel, and it's one of the latest generation that's been added to the airplane line, and it's of course way better than the previous ones. Okay, so entrepreneurship here is basically we're talking about somebody who combines all his inputs into one, which now for this particular company, AirAsia, is Tony Fernandez. He has combined all these particular inputs into one so that the company is more smooth sailing. Okay, so the question states that state two possible factors that could influence the selected firm's input market. So the two factors which I have here is first of all climate change and secondly customer satisfaction. So in terms of climate change, it's about the fuel efficiency. So the fuel efficiency has reduced the carbon emission of AirAsia as a whole. To be precise, there is 14% reduction of carbon dioxide emission that has been recorded recently on the Airbus. Okay, the next one we're looking at is about customer satisfaction. So for those of us who have traveled, we know that getting on an airplane can be really tiring at times, like traveling can be really tiring. So this A330neo, they have like a better experience. They have personal space, that means there's more space for your leg to like stretch. And there's also the latest generation of in-flight entertainment in terms of the system as well as the connectivity.
Okay, as we know that AirAsia is providing a low-cost airline tickets, and that's lead a lot of people to use their airline. And so we have two recommendations for them. The first recommendation is to make a lot of promotion in a year, because people love promotions and low prices. Then at the same time, AirAsia needs to invest a lot of capital in buying airplanes so that they can satisfy the high demand of customers due to low-cost flight, so that achieves economic efficiency in the long run production. Okay, for the second one is that AirAsia need to make renovation for their airplanes so that they can reach the customer satisfaction by price and quality. And the result of that will increase the demand for AirAsia tickets to shift to the right due to the high purchasing from the customers. Then AirAsia need to provide other good services such as lounges and good customer service, because the competitors are available like Malaysian Airlines and Malindo and other different companies.
Thanks for watching our video.